Hello everyone, this is Dr. Rajiv Gupta, Assistant Professor in Srimati M.D. Patel Institute of Physical Science and Research, Anand. The course name is BSc Chemistry. The semester is 5th semester. The subject is Analytical Chemistry and its subject code is US05CCHE24. The unit number is 2, which is chromatography first. In this lecture, I am going to talk on thin layer chromatography and its experimental details. It is the part 2 of this lecture. So we learned in a previous lecture about chromatography technique, its introduction of TLC, definition of TLC, some history part, and why and when we use TLC, in which industries, in chemical industries, the TLC technique is used, then principle of TLC technique. These all things we have seen in a previous lecture. Then basic theory of TLC and the factors affecting retardation factor value. So these were the factors which directly affect the value of retardation factor. Now come to the topic of mobile phase, which is used in our TLC technique. The choice of mobile phase is largely empirical, but general rules can be formulated. Means we have to apply somewhat trial and error method to choose our required mobile phase, which actually depends on our sample nature and also the applied stationary phase. A organic solvent mixture and water with the addition of acid base or complexing agent to optimize the solubility of the components of a mixture can be used. So not only on single solvent, we can use a mixture of solvents where organic solvent, water, or also acid or bases can be used to form a mixture of solvent, which could be very good solvent mixture for solubilizing various sample components in it. For example, good separations of polar or ionic solutes can be achieved with a mixture of water and butanol. So here water, which is more polar solvent compared to normal butane, will work on these ionic solutes more efficiently. Means these ionic solutes will more solubilized in this water component of mobile phase, but these somewhat polar substances will be more attracted or will be more solubilized in normal butanol. So due to this mixture of mobile phase, two types of components of sample, means polar or ionic, can be separated. Addition of acetic acid to the mixture allows more water to be incorporated and increase the solubility of basic materials. Suppose in our sample some organic compounds have basic nature and these are uh, less soluble or low solubility in water, has low solubility in water, then we use some weak acids like acetic acid. So in presence of this acetic acid in mobile phase, the solubility of these basic materials increases in mobile phase, while the addition of ammonia increases the solubility of acidic materials. If our sample components have acidic type materials, acidic nature materials, then the use of ammonia is good. If the stationary phase is hydrophobic, various mixtures of benzene, cyclohexane and chloroform provide satisfactory mobile phase. If stationary phase is hydrophobic, then our used mobile phase could also be hydrophobic nature with varying polarity, like chloroform has more polar nature than benzene or cyclohexane. So some type of organic molecules which have non-polar and very less polar natures, they can be separated using this type of this type of mobile phase combination or mixture. It should be emphasized that a large degree of trial and error should be involved. If our sample is completely unknown, then we have to apply this trial error method. But first this method is set for a particular series of samples, we then the experiments we can run fastly without using this trial error. For TLC on silica gel, a mobile phase with a low polarity as possible should be used. So polar solvents can themselves become strongly adsorbed, thereby producing a partition system, a situation which may not be desirable. Means if our stationary phase is polar and our solvents are also polar, then there could be polar interaction between mobile phase itself and stationary phase. So this uh, situation should be avoided or not desirable, because the interaction of sample molecules with stationary phase should happen. There should be very less interaction or low interaction of mobile phase or solvent system with stationary phase. So here the uh, polar solvents could be adsorbed on these polar stationary phase and may work as a partition system, means itself may work as a stationary phase. So this situation should not happen. So that type of solvent mixture we choose where this situation does not happen. So these are some mobile phases which are shown for alumina adsorbent. As we said, two types of adsorbents are majorly used, that are alumina and silica gel. If alumina is used, then these organic solvent mixtures or pure solvents are has least eluting power, because this alumina is a polar solvent, polar stationary phase, but these organic liquids has somewhat lower polarity. But if organic acids as mobile phase are applied in the presence of this alumina as adsorbent, then these both become somewhat polar. Alumina is also polar in organic acids like carboxylic acid, sulfonic acids, these type of organic molecules which are polar in nature. These show better separation and great eluting power of these sample components. So the eluting solvent should also show a of maximum selectivity in its ability to dissolve or desorb the substance being separated. So the solvent we choose should be that type which selectively uh, solubilize the various sample components. Means various sample components should have different solubility inside this solvent system, because in TLC, which is liquid chromatography, a type of liquid chromatography, here the sample molecules show interaction with stationary phase as well as with mobile phase. So mobile phase in liquid state is also very uh, a deciding property of this separation. A more important property of the solvent, its ability to itself adsorb on the adsorbent. So it is also the property of mobile phase, but the mobile phase itself should not adsorb on the surface of stationary phase. The number of common solvents in approximate order of increasing adsorbability and hence in order of increasing eluting power. Now the mixture of solvents can also be applied as I discussed earlier, and since eluting power results 0.5 to 2% by volume. So eluting power increases by this volume percent when we use a mixture of solvents where our sample has components which have different polarities. Solvents to be used in chromatography should be quite dry. Suppose generally in TLC technique, organic solvents are highly used. So these organic solvents should be moisture free. because the moisture which is present in our solvents should some may create some problems during this development of TLC plate. So the selection of adsorbents or stationary phases, how we decide that which type of adsorbent we have to use or apply for our TLC experiment. So first we see the solubility of our compounds, solubility of our sample components. If sample components are hydrophilic, then we generally use hydrophilic nature containing adsorbents. If our sample components are lipophilic, then we can choose lipophilic adsorbents. Nature of substances to be separated, that is whether it is acidic, basic or amphoteric. So nature of substances to be separated, which type of substances we are to separate. If it is acidic, basic or amphoteric, according to that we have to choose our adsorbent or stationary phase. Adsorbent particle size is also a key factor. For different samples, different type of samples, these particle size also matters for the proper resolution on TLC plate. Adsorbent should not adhere to glass plate. Also this is the should be property of adsorbent. Reactivity of compound with the solvent or adsorbent. The compounds which are present in our sample, their reactivity towards solvent or adsorbent should be checked. The adsorbent should not react with these sample components. So that type of adsorbent we choose. Again, chemical reactivity of compounds with binders, as we have seen earlier lecture, that plaster of Paris binders, that type binders could also be used for making a very good TLC plate, thin layer of stationary phase. So these chemical compounds which are present in our sample should not react with these binders. Now the selection of stationary phase, we have already seen these things. To obtain satisfactory separation efficiency, the mean particle size, the particle size distribution and morphology of the particle must be considered. So here in this slide, the particle size of the stationary phase powders should matter. The particle size distribution and morphology of the particle size, means if it is a round shape or a cone shape or rectangle shape or cube shape, what type of shape the particles have, these all things also controls the development of TLC plate during experiment. So these are the some stationary phases which are used for thin layer chromatography experiments. In this table, the first column shows stationary phase material, the actual material which is used as stationary phase. Now the phenomena, working phenomena where the sample molecule takes partition or adsorption, and the use of these stationary phases. The first one is silica gel, where adsorption or partition phenomena may take place, and its use is general, means various range of wide range of organic compounds can be separated over this type of stationary phase. Then modified silica gels, where generally silica gels are polar in nature, but modified silica gels generally semi-polar or non-polar type, where some moieties, organic moieties could be covalently attached to the silica surface. So here adsorption or partition may take place. Generally these type of silica, modified silicas, are used in high performance liquid chromatography techniques in column. Alumina adsorption or partition may take place. Its use is general for very range of organic compounds. Then cellulose powder could also be used, where only partition takes place. So this cellulose powder generally we have seen for paper chromatography, where cellulose in cellulose network, their water molecules are binded, or water droplets are binded, so that water droplets actually gives partition other than adsorption. So here in when we use cellulose powder, then generally partition phenomena takes place, and inorganic amino acids and these very ionic and polar molecules could be separated using the cellulose powder. So this cellulose powder coating could be used in TLC technique. Then Kizilgher, it is here partition takes place. Generally sugars, carbohydrates could be easily separated or analyzed using these materials. Modified cellulose DEAE, like these ion exchange, could be used in nucleotides and phospholipids and Cefidex gels. So here exclusion takes place where macromolecules could be separated according to their molecular weights. So chromatographic media coating materials, which are also called sorbents or adsorbents, these coating materials, the particle size, what should be the particle size of these adsorbent materials or solid materials, powdered materials, that the experiments performed to solve various problems by the adsorption method to use various adsorbent would be necessarily. They tested various substances including aluminum oxides, aluminum silicates, silicon carbonates, kaolin, Kizilgher, magnesium oxide, powdered sugar, silica gel, starch. So these all are the simple adsorbent materials which could be used in TLC plate as a thin layer. So what is the particle size? The separation efficiency obtained in TLC is essentially determined by the mean particle size and the size distribution. What is the particle size and its size distribution means what is the range of that particle size, means the whole particles which are coated over this TLC plate, what is the size range. So this very matters in the efficiency of this separation. So the particle size of silica gel, here an example is taken, silica gel of a quality suitable for HPTLC, means high performance thin layer chromatography. The particle size is very low, that is around 5 micrometer. This is average particle size of this silica gel material, 5 micrometer, and that of for TLC it is almost 11 micrometer, and for that PSC it is over 20 micrometer, as shown in the following diagram. In this graph we can see that at x-axis it is particle size in particle size or its particle diameter in micrometer or micron, and it is the distribution, particle size distribution in volume percent. Volume percent means the volume which is coated over TLC plate. For HPTLC the used particle size is very low, which is around 5 to 6 micron. For TLC it is around 10 to 11 micron, and for PSC it is around 20 to 30 micron. So this is the range of particle size. But for TLC technique, thin layer chromatography, the particle size average amount is almost 10 to 11 micrometer. So these are the tables shown for various sorbent or adsorbent materials used for TLC plates. Types of sorbent set supports for pre-coated layers. So these are the pre-coated layers which are available in market and directly can be used for these in chemistry laboratories for the separation of various sample components. Generally these techniques, TLC technique is applied in that chemistry laboratories where we are using or we are doing preparative chromatography, where we have to see the ongoing chemical reactions process. So these are the sorbent materials: aluminum oxide 6050, 150. The support material is aluminum foil, glass plate, plastic films. So these are the support materials, means these are the substrates on which these sorbent materials has been coated. So here example table is shown where the commercially available materials which can apply directly for this experiment. So here support materials are shown. Aluminum foils could be used, glass plates or glass slides could be used, plastic films could be used, plastic sheets. So these plastic sheets or aluminum foils generally are flexible in nature compared to these glass plates. So we can see that these type of substances could be easily applied. If our sample is somewhat corrosive, then the glass plates or plastic films are better options. So these are all the sorbent materials which are commercially available. Silica gel modified, some chiral moieties can be attached covalently on silica gel. So these all things. For normal phase chromatography, also reverse phase chromatography. For normal phase, generally silica gel is applied directly, which is polar in nature. But if we use reversed phase chromatography, then we have to apply non-polar or less polar silica gel as stationary phase, which is functionalized with these hydrocarbons rp18 rp8 like this. So these all things we can see, all the sorbent materials which are available commercially. Now the sorbent materials, first we see aluminum oxide. Its chromatographic principle, how the separation takes place on it. Actually the adsorption phenomena happens when we use aluminum oxide, and this aluminum oxide is a polar substance. So here polar interactions takes place, and due to these polar interactions the adsorption from liquid to solid surface happens. So using this stationary phase, alkaloids, steroids, terpenes, aliphatic, aromatic and basic compounds can easily be separated and identified. If we use cellulose, then unmodified cellulose, acetylated cellulose, cellulose ion exchangers, mixed layers can be used. In unmodified cellulose, generally partition takes place, and amino acids and carboxylic acid, which are polar in nature, could be easily separated using this partition chromatography, where the water molecules which are present inside the pores of these cellulose fibers work as a stationary phase. Then acylated cellulose, which is somewhat hydrophobic or lipophilic cellulose, here we can separate these type of somewhat very less polar substances. Now cellulose exchangers, where ion exchange takes place, here amino acids, peptides, enzymes, nucleic acids can be separated. So all these things we can see. Kieselguhr, polyamide, these their chromatographic principles, whether partition take place or adsorption. And also last one is silica. The unmodified silica, which is generally a polar substance, is used for the separation of less polar and non-polar substances. If this silica is modified with some organic molecules, then it becomes somewhat less polar and non-polar. Then it may be applied as a in a reversed phase chromatography, where non-polar as well as polar substances could be separated. So these all things we can see. Now come to this point, what are the uses of pre-coated layers? So the above slides which we have seen, these were pre-coated layers of these commercially available TLC plates. So what are the uses of this? These are used for the identification of our sample in our chemistry laboratories. Identification means qualitative or quantitative. And also the purity of our chemical reactions products. The chemical reaction products which we get, we can analyze that sample purities using these TLC plates which are commercially available. And the assay means ongoing chemical reaction assay, means which organic compounds or products has been formed, the complete reaction assay. Or also we can see the kinetics, means at which rate the product is formed and at which time, and also the completion of a reaction, or a combination of these parameters. Preparation of chromatographic plates means TLC plates. Suppose we don't want to use commercially available plates, then we can prepare these TLC plates in our labs. So this is the simple preparation technique is given here. So what is the requirement here? The requirement is the glass plates or flexible plates, which could be aluminum foil or plastic sheet, are commonly used for adsorbent, means these are the substrate materials over which these adsorbents could be sticked. Size used depends on the type of separation to be carried out. The size which I discussed, which size we have to use. So there are various grades, various size silica gel or alumina gel powders could be available in our chemistry labs. The type of chromatographic tank and spreading apparatus. So which adsorbent material we have to choose, and or which type of these plates, flexible plates or glass plates we have to use, this actually depends on the our sample nature, our used chromatographic tank or developing tank, and also the spreading apparatus available. These spreading apparatus which spreads these stationary phase slurry over these substrates, flexible plates or glass plates. The standard size are 20 into 5 centimeter, 20 into 10 centimeter, or 20 by 20 centimeter. So these are the standard sizes of these TLC plates. So if we want to use this 20 into 5 centimeter plate, then we have to cut these flexible plates or glass plates or other aluminum foil plates in this specific dimension. Okay. The surface should be flat without irregularities. The surface of these flexible plates, glass plates or aluminum foil should be very uniform. So the coating over it will also be uniform after coating. The standard film thickness is 250 micrometer. This is the coating thickness, coated material thickness, means silica gel or alumina gel thickness which is coated over these plates. It is around 250 micrometer, means 0.25 millimeter. So these are the methods for application of adsorbents. The adsorbents, which are silica gel, alumina gel or cellulose powder, these all adsorbents could be applied over these glass plates or flexible plates using these four methods. These four methods could be applied. So what we do here, we are making a thin layer, a very thin layer over these substrates. So the thin layer techniques which we apply in laboratories, these can be used like pouring of our stationary material or powder material slurry over substrate, or dipping these plates in the slurry of that stationary phase material, or spraying of that stationary phase over these plates, or the last one is spreading. So first we see the pouring. The adsorbent of finely divided and homogeneous particle size is made into slurry. So how we make this slurry? We use required adsorbent like silica gel or alumina gel according to its particle size. Means it depends on our nature of sample, our sample nature, the particle size is chosen. Now these powdered materials or adsorbents will be uh, dispersed in a organic solvent or a mixture of organic solvent, where they will make, or they could make, a better slurry, a very good slurry. Then this slurry will be poured directly on the plate, directly on the aluminum foil, or directly on the that glass plate, or directly on that plastic sheet, polymer sheet. So here during this pouring we actually know the amount of our adsorbent material which is present in this slurry. So in this pouring technique we actually know the actual amount coated over the specific area of this glass plate or polymer plate, and after that it is allowed to flow over it. After pouring it is allowed to flow over it, then it evenly covered this uh, substrate at one side. So this is the simple pouring technique of this slurry over this plate. So we may get a uniform or very good layer of adsorbent over these plates. So this is the first technique. Now the second technique is dipping. In dipping technique, a specific instruments could also be applied, where the glass plates or polymer plates or aluminum plates will be dipped inside the slurry of these adsorbents. So what we do in this technique, small plates, by dipping the two plates at a time back to back in a slurry of adsorbent in chloroform. Generally these slurry, as I said, has been made into a organic solvent which should be volatile in nature. A solvent in which we make this slurry should be volatile in nature. So we know that chloroform is a very volatile in nature, or other volatile solvents depend on the nature. Now after dipping, these plates will be removed from that slurry very slowly, and very thin layer will be coated over these plates or substrates. Exact thickness of layer is not known, and evenness of the layer may not be good. So it is a drawback somewhat for this dipping, where the thickness and the evenness of the layer may not be good, because in this dipping we don't know what is the actual amount of our adsorbent is coated over the plate. Now the third one is spraying method. Here a dilute slurry, diluted with that organic solvent, diluted slurry will be sprayed using a specific sprayer over the glass plate or any other plate. Using this technique, nowadays it is not used, because in this technique we don't get uniform layer over these plates, over these substrates. So this does not give a uniform layer. So it is a drawback of this spraying, because at some portion of the plate the spray, because we do manual spray, so some gets more thickness and some part of the plate will get low thickness, so we don't get uniform layer. The last one is spreading. In these spreading techniques, generally a specific instrument is used. So nowadays the spreading technique is highly used to form these type of TLC plates. All the above methods fail to give thin and uniform layers. All the above means spraying, pouring, and these techniques does not give these uniform layers. So modern methods utilize the spreading devices, specific electric devices for preparation of uniform thin layers on glass plates. Commercial spreaders are of two types, moving spreader and moving plate type. So these spreaders actually just like as we form very thin layers of polymer solutions in our labs, just like on that concept these spreaders work. And by moving the spreader, a very uniform layer of the uh, this this adsorbent will be made over the plates. It gives layer thickness from 0.2 to 2 millimeter. Means in these specific spreading devices we can set the thickness of the formed adsorbent layer. Now the activation of plates. After spreading the adsorbent over glass plates or polymer sheets, we allow this formed or spreaded layer to vaporize the the volatile solvent. We allow it to dry in air to vaporize the volatile solvent. As we see, the chloroform or other volatile solvents are used in slurry, so these will be vaporized. And after this vaporization, the remaining is the only high surface area adsorbent material. Now these are activated in specific ovens. The oven environment, internal environment could be inert, so these are activated. These coated layers will be activated by heating at about 100 degrees Celsius or over by 30 minutes, depending on our used materials or used solvents. If the used solvent to make slurry is very volatile in nature, so low time is sufficient. By removing the liquids associated with layer completely, the adsorbent layer is activated. When all whole the liquids which are generally volatile will completely removed, then the remaining the layer we get will be called as activated. So it will have very high surface area, very small micron and nano sized pores over it, where on these stationary phases adsorption or partition may take place. So the next part of this lecture I will discuss next time. Thank you for listening the lecture.